Ah, Judy, I love this time of year because of all this fresh produce.
William, it's the time to plant.
And we'll explain what we mean next on Garden Time. Welcome to Garden Time. We are out here at blooming Junction, and it's the season because they are loaded with great produce.
It's also the season to get your fall garden planted, and later in the show I'll be talking to Justin about how to do that. But coming up first, what to do with all that fruit.
Well, it is such a delight for me to be here with Joelle from Smithberry Barn, and we are going to be doing some cooking, which is always fun when we come here and get to do this. But first of all, tell me what it is we're going to be making today.
So today we're going to make a skillet berry cobbler.
Oh, cool.
So we're making a traditional cobbler, but we're doing it in a cast iron skillet.
And then before we jump into this recipe, I see that you have both fresh blueberries and frozen berries. This is a recipe we're going to use both of those in.
It is okay to use frozen anytime. I tend to freeze all of my fruit when we're really busy,
Right.
and then I bake when I'm not so busy with the frozen fruit. So today I chose to do our Triple Crown blackberry, which is frozen, and then our fresh blueberries that were picked today.
All right, so let's jump right in. What do you want me to do?
So you can start doing the sugar filling, and it's sugar and some cornstarch. My frozen berries are noisy.
They are noisy, but that means they're delicious.
So we have about 5 cups of blackberries and about 2 cups of blueberries. And you're doing some cinnamon. And you can go ahead and toss that right on top. I'm going to be doing some lemon zest over this.
And the lemon zest is, quite frankly, just the outer skin as you grate it like that, right?
Exactly. And I just kind of go around the lemon once. I'm not too particular about how much goes in.
And then I don't know if is this right? Have I done this?
That looks great.
Okay.
Yep, we
and
like
then just
it.
sprinkle it all over?
Yep, go ahead and sprinkle it right over the top. And we're going to put the juice of half of a lemon on. And then once we stir all of that together, the lemon juice will act as our liquid that will help kind of distribute all of that sugar.
That's a fancy way to squeeze a lemon, isn't it?
This is a great tool.
And I'm going to guess that I could buy that right here at your store
You
as well,
can.
couldn't it? Cool.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's a great way to do that.
So we'll just give this a toss until it's pretty much coating all of the berries.
So I have a question while you're stirring that, Joelle. When I've done recipes like this with berries or peaches and stuff, sometimes they're really, really super runny, and I don't think that I intend them to be that way after they're cooked. I expect them to be a little thicker. What can I do for that?
Well, you can add more or less of the cornstarch. That's basically what's helping our juices to solidify, or gel, not solidify. And so if you have a fruit that's extra juicy like a peach, you can use more of the cornstarch. Sometimes my berries aren't super juicy, and so I will add a little bit of extra water to help them.
So you can adjust.
You can adjust. You can add more or less sugar depending on what kind of fruit you're using. The tartar berries, the blackberries usually need a little bit more sugar than a sweeter peach or something like that.
Now, so that's the filling?
This is it. So we have had our skillet in the oven warming up as we warmed up our oven with a little bit of butter. And we're going to grab that, and then we're going to put this into the skillet and pop it in the oven while we make our topping.
Perfect. Okay, so now this is what I'm going to call the biscuits that I see on top of those things.
The topping, the biscuits.
What is it that you're putting in here?
So basically we have some flour, and then if you want to add, we have some sugar, some baking powder, and some salt. And then I have cubed up about 4 tablespoons of butter. And basically all we're going to do is we're going to cut it all together.
So you're using the thing that I used to use when I would make pie crust, just cutting it all together there.
Yep, just the old-fashioned by hand. It's the easiest and best way. You want the butter to be in small pieces, and then we get nice rise in our biscuits with cold pieces of butter.
Nice.
So we'll do a little bit more, and then I'm going to add some heavy cream.
Ooh, delicious.
Which is nice and rich.
Right.
So about a half a cup of heavy cream. I'm going to leave a little extra in my cup to top it with a little bit of sugar at the end.
Oh, okay.
So to spare just a little. And then this will mix.
And I get the feeling that I don't see a blender here. I suspect you're going to do this all by hand,
This
aren't
is
you?
totally by hand, so mix it just enough to get it to come together.
Right.
And then basically all I do is I piece the biscuits together by hand. I'm going to make about...
So you're not even going to roll this out and cut them. You're going to all do it by hand.
I'm just going to do it in this one pan so I don't make a mess. And I will just start patting together my little biscuits. And I'm going to make probably about 7.
And so you really, you're not making them very fancy. You're just putting them...
very rustic.
Yeah, I like that. No, that's really cool.
And you can make smaller, you can make them bigger. This size will cover the pan nicely, but leave enough room around the sides for it to vent. And you should have just enough biscuit to make a biscuit per serving, with enough filling inside to have a nice amount of filling per...
And it looks like you're almost done making those
So
now.
what did I say? I said I was going to have...
You're going to do 7.
7, and I ended up with...
7.
7.
Wow,
All right.
perfect.
So our topping has been in the oven. We need to raise the temperature to about 400 degrees so that we can cook the biscuits on a little higher temperature.
Okay, so explain that to me. I'm a
So-
simple lad.
so-
You're wanting... You've got it cooked at 350 up until now. You're raising it so that these cook a little bit differently then? Is that-
Exactly. We
okay.
need them to cook fast and high so that they get a nice puff on them. We want them to be browned, but we need the filling to be simmering a little bit before that. We need
Perfect.
it to cook down a little. So that's what's been happening. Now we're going to raise the temperature. We'll put the biscuit topping on, and then we will bake it off.
All right, let's do that.
All right.
Okay, so now we're waiting to put the biscuits on, and I'm going to call them biscuits because that's what they look like to me.
You can keep
Can I
calling
do
them
them?
biscuits. Yep,
Can
go
I
ahead.
put them on there?
Yep.
Okay.
One in the middle and then just right around the center. And then I'm going to be putting some heavy cream on the top, and you can squish them down just a little bit. We want them to blend in with the, make a connection with the fruit.
Okay, I see what you're doing there. I was doing a little, I'll try to get this one a little closer.
You're good.
And then there, this one. All right. Well, I'm not good at this part at all, am I?
This is great. It will not matter in the end.
And then what are you putting this? The
So a little
cream
bit
on
of
for?
heavy cream, that extra heavy cream that we saved out, and then I'm going to add a little bit of superfine sugar on the top
Nice.
just to give them a nice little crust. And then we will pop it back in the oven at our 400 degree temp for about 25 to 30 minutes. You want to watch that last 5 minutes to make sure you have good bubbling sauce, but also that you have nice browned biscuits.
Right. Okay, let's
So we're
put it
going to go back
there
in the
then.
oven.
Okay, so now this is done, and Joelle, it looks absolutely delicious. So what is it that, how would we serve this? Because it just came out, so it's
This
a little
is fresh
little
out of
runny
the oven.
maybe.
It's going to be a little saucy right
Yeah.
now, but we want you to have a bite.
Okay,
So
well, I'm not going to say no.
basically, I'm just going to scoop up an individual biscuit
Easy.
with a
Yeah.
nice scoop of berries. This will gel up a little bit more.
Because it
after
literally, you
sits,
just took
yes.
it out, so it is
and
hot.
this will be amazing with ice cream, which
Wonderful.
we don't have right this minute. But just make sure you don't touch your pan
Right.
when
right.
it comes out of the oven, since you're serving straight out of it.
And I have to say that you made this with flour, so it is there's gluten in this. But one of the things I noticed this time while we were at your store is you're selling these. Tell me about these gluten-free products.
So we have a really nice line of gluten-free scone mixes, which I thought would be great and really easy to
Right.
make this even easier, to have a pre-packaged scone mix. And so just replace the entire topping portion of the recipe with an
With one of
easy,
these,
basically
yeah.
add water. And the lemon one would be great, the original one would be great.
Well, there you have it. Now, you know, every time we get to do a recipe here, we always send you over to their website by going to gardentime.tv. And while you're there, you can find so many other delicious recipes that you can make in your own kitchen. Thank you so much, Joelle.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
Why do the finest builders shop at Standard TV and Appliance?
It's pretty easy to put Standard in their shoulder to shoulder with us. They are awesome when it comes to service. The products are really incredible that they carry. We really enjoy the interaction with all of the staff, from the sales to the delivery. They really stand behind what they sell.
Standard can make your dream kitchen a reality, setting the standard since 1947. Standard TV and Appliance.
Well, I'm at the vegetable patch at Blooming Junction today with the farm manager, Justin. And so, Justin, we've talked about so many different vegetables, and here we are in mid-July talking about fall vegetables. So what's with that?
That's right. I always want to tell people, you know, if you wait till September or October to start your fall garden, it's way too late. So yeah, we're here in July, which is typically the best time to start planning and planting for your fall garden. Lots of things that we can be planting now. Root crops are a lot of things that people plant for fall and winter, but there are also a lot of leafy greens, and the cole crop is a good one this time of year too, the cole crops.
And so you were saying even like cauliflower you like to plant in the fall, that it's more tasty and a little bit easier to do?
I do, and it grows better for me in the fall. So yeah, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, a lot of those kind of crops I prefer to do in the fall. And you know, when we get that first frost or a little cool weather in the fall, it changes the composition of the plant and really enhances some of the sugars and flavors in a lot of those crops, leafy crops as well as root crops.
Oh, that is nice. And then I always heard that like the beets are really good to do after a frost to harvest.
They are, yeah. Beets, carrots, parsnips, all of those will have much more flavor, be much more sort of sugary and tasty, yeah, after they get touched by a frost.
And so what kind of varieties should we be planting? So if I have a package that I've planted in the spring, should I use that same package of seeds?
Not always. That's not always the case. You know, there are a lot of varieties there's been a lot of research into these varieties where they've created them so that they can withstand, you know, the early heat of August when they're small, you know, tender plants, but then also are very cold hardy once we get later into the season. So there are a lot of varieties specifically developed for fall and winter production.
And then what about the care? Because we are going to be going to the heat. So what should we be prepping our soil for?
Yeah, well, so in our soil prep, well, first thing, during this heat, we want to make sure that we're watering every day to get good germination. And for things like fine-seeded carrots, you know, it can be good to add a thin layer of mulch or peat moss or something to help, you know, keep in that moisture. Some things may even require watering twice a day during that heat. Sure. So, you know, we'll want to be making sure that they get plenty of water. And even if you have a small garden at home, be providing some shade for those while they germinate on really, really hot sunny days. Anything you can do to add a little bit of shade to those plants. And we also in our soil preparation want to be thinking about creating good drainage, because we get so much rain in the fall and in the winter. We really want our soil to be draining well. So adding lots of compost, raised beds are always the best way to go for fall and winter planting. Oh,
that is true. And so we can get starts here or seeds?
That's right. Yeah, we have all of the sort of main transplants that you can put in. I love, you know, it's great to plant with your own seed. You know, I think that plants get a better start, but there are some things like those cold crops, the broccoli, cabbage, cauliflowers, that really need a little more time. So those I really recommend doing transplants with, and we have those for sale here at Blooming Junction.
And then we have to talk about pests. So should we be worried about them?
Well, you know, one of the great things about gardening in the fall and winter is that there's a lot less pest pressure in general, flying insects, but the one pest that we really need to watch out for are slugs. So usually in August and September, when they first start coming out, I like to apply a little Sluggo. We've talked about that before. It's my go-to product to prevent slug damage here. And also, you know, there can be some diseases caused with all the dampness and rain that we have in the fall. So I like to add a little bit more spacing between all of the plants to allow for a little more air circulation. That really helps quite a bit, yes.
That is a great tip. And then what about extension of the season? How long can we expect to be picking?
Yeah, so well, you always look at your last frost date for at least the warmer summer liking crops. And then for these cooler crops that I'm talking about, a lot of them can make it through the winter on their own. And yeah, I like to use a frost cloth. And you know, you can float it right over top of your plants, or you can use wire hoops to support it, but it really adds an extra level of protection. And it can also be good to use earlier in the season, because when we were talking about pests, another one that we do get can be aphids, you know, Brussels sprouts and some of those crops. And so row cover can be a good way to keep those insects out and extend the season further into the winter.
All great tips, but I'd like to go up to the store and see what's going on there, so let's go over.
Right.
So Justin, now we're up at the nursery and the store, and really you have everything for everyone up here.
We do, that's right. Yeah, for those who want to give a try at winter and fall gardening, we do have all the seeds and starts that you would need to do that.
Yeah, and then here, the bounty, man, so if you don't want to do a vegetable garden, you can come and get your vegetables.
That's right, yeah, we have 215 different fruits and vegetable varieties that we grow here, and they're all available for sale here in our produce stand. We also do a late season CSA, which is 8 weeks of a vegetable share that people can get more information about on our website.
Nice, and then also U-Pick, so the U-Pick information's on that website too?
It sure is, yeah, all of our berries that are open for U-Pick at this time.
And we've done segments about your cooking classes, and so those are lots of fun, and so all that information is on there too.
That's right.
You know, you have to come out to Blooming Junction. It's a great place to come, not just for plants, but for all your vegetable needs. And if you're going to start that vegetable garden this summer, you have to do it right now and get it in so you can harvest all fall. Thanks for all that information. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
What's even better than buying a brand new Subaru? How about getting the best possible value from a place that's as trustworthy and dependable as a Subaru? At Capital Subaru, your satisfaction is our goal, which is why you can always expect the kind of service and selection that keeps you smiling. From our lot to your driveway.
Summer's here and so are the deals. Hurry in now and lease the safe and adventurous new 2019 Subaru Outback 2.5i Premium, just $229 per month.
Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Nestled in the oaks of the Willamette Valley is a nursery that is truly exceptional. At Out in the Garden Nursery, you will find a vast array of shade plants, ornamental grasses, and hardy perennials.
Enjoy food, wine, music, and craft vendors at our Wine and Cheese in the Garden event.
We offer over 100 types of perennials. Plus, we offer the best in personal attention. Out in the Garden Nursery, where we grow great gardens one plant at a time.
Well, it's a little bit of a sprinkly day, but I am at Stoller Vineyards out in Dundee, and way down the hill is the tasting room, but we're at the best part. We're out in the vineyards, and I'm with Jason, who's Vice President of Vineyards. So really, we're getting a little rain, so is the vines look wonderful, the fruit looks wonderful. Is that okay? It's raining?
Well, it's not ideal to have rain right now in the middle of the summer, but I think what we've done and in the canopy and how we've managed leading up to this point, our grapes are going to be fine. Rain this time of year on the canopy itself with the fruit hanging out here, that's not very desirable, but that is why we've done all this work to position these shoots and expose these little clusters that are growing by pulling leaves, which allows airflow when the winds pick back up, and then sunlight in the early morning to come in and dry things out quickly. So we're okay.
But what about we're growing them at home? We're maybe growing table grapes. I don't know if everybody's growing wine grapes. So what about the table grapes that we have?
Well, I would argue that they could use this treatment as well right now, especially if you have rain. It really depends on where your table grapes are growing. I do this to kind of capture as much sunlight on this morning side that I can in this very full, hot, full sun site. It's hot and dry right here. A lot of times you can find table grapes growing in shade. I would say you can pull leaves and expose those grapes, get them out there if they're in the shady zones to get all that airflow and sunlight that you can. If you're in a hot, dry zone though, I'd be careful about pulling too many leaves right now. The hot season is ahead of us and grapes can be sunburned.
Oh, wow. And then what about irrigation? So maybe we're going to go into a dry, hot spot at home. Should we be irrigating?
So if you recently planted these vines 5 years ago or less, perhaps you need to irrigate to get them well established and rooted in. But grapes are very good at mining nutrition and water from the soil. So post 5 years, even table grapes, I don't think you'll need to water that much. Again, if you're in a very hot, shallow soil, I doubt irrigation would help you. It often can trigger your vines to not put fruit out if you over irrigate.
Oh, wow, yeah. And then I know that you go through at some point soon that you'll be thinning, so should we thin table grapes? the clusters?
You know, I have table grapes at home and I don't thin them. They're
Okay.
5 years old right now. They've got a nice crop on them, but what I've made sure is that they are kind of in a shady spot. I've pulled those clusters, leaves away from those clusters, opened that fruit up to the sunlight. And one thing about table grapes, you don't have to get them as ripe as wine grapes. Wine grapes, we ripen up to 23.5 degrees bricks of sugar. Table grapes are typically brought in at about 18 degrees bricks of sugar, and it's quite a big difference. You probably would never want to make a true finished wine out of that low sugar of table grapes, that I'd say.
That's fascinating. I mean, we come out here almost every year or so, and it's always fascinating. We hear something, but you know, we want to see where all of these lovely grapes end up. So we're going to go up and talk to Melissa and see what she's got for us. Thanks so much. This is great.
Thank you. Yeah, cool.
So Jason and I made it out of the vineyard to the best place at Stoller, at the tasting room. And now I'm with Melissa, who's Vice President of Winemaking. So you are the best person here because you have all the scoop. So what should we be drinking this summer?
Well, that's why I'm the best to have the wine, right?
Yes.
So that's a great question, and I think we have the answer here.
Okay.
So first off, you know, Oregon wines tend to be versatile for all seasons, and we have 3 in front of us right here that are great for summer and any season. I mean, all 3 of these wines, we've got a Pinot Noir, a Chardonnay, and a Pinot Noir Rosé. They're all grown here in this cooler climate. They retain a lot of acidity in the grape, so you have these wines that are very fresh, that have a lot of nice fruit, and that will pair nicely, you know, for those 2 reasons.
And so we can just sit on our deck and drink any of these, but we can really bring it into the dining room too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we can go, you know, wine by wine. I think we should probably try one.
All right,
first,
yes,
right?
please do.
Jason will
You can do that.
do the honors of pouring this Pinot Noir Rosé, which, you know, rosé, as we all have seen, I'm sure, has gotten extremely popular for consumption here in the United States, and it's for a good reason. You know, rosé is, you know, spans between a white and a red wine, you know, just with the color, but also with its style. So most rosés, including ours, has this beautiful aromatics, you know, a lot of red fruit, but then again, I keep talking and I'll keep saying this acidity in this rosé makes it really versatile with food. So people think sitting on the porch, that's great, drink your rosé by itself, but also bring it into the dining room. It pairs with salads, with fish, cheeses, and it's also a wine that you can drink all year round.
Wow.
It doesn't just have to be when it's sunny. Like today is cloudy, you can still drink the rosé.
Right.
But again, in all seriousness, I mean, think about Thanksgiving dinner when you want to have a kind of a multitude of courses. This is a great way to start off that meal, and in the winter as well.
Oh, nice.
So I think rosé is here to stay, but it's also something for you to think about bringing into your meal all year long.
That's great. And so then the Chardonnay too. So both of these look cold, so we should keep those both a little bit chilled.
Yeah, definitely a slight chill to these. You don't have to overdo it, which sometimes I think people will do, and it's not necessarily wrong, but when wines get very, very cold, you can't smell or taste them as well because everything's cold. All those aromatics are subdued.
Right.
So a slight chill, you know, put in your refrigerator, take it out for 20 minutes before you drink it. Mid-50s on these too, I think is where I like them both.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's
then,
perfect.
Yeah, and the Chardonnay, we grow a lot of Chardonnay here at Stoller. Oregon is tremendously growing with Chardonnay with popularity, but it's not a lot of it grown in our state. The Chardonnay that we make, again, has a lot of acidity. This is a Chardonnay that doesn't see a lot of oak barrels, so it doesn't have butteriness, it's not heavy, it's got a lot of citrus and freshness, so
perfect.
very versatile with food.
Well, you know, these are just wonderful wines to have for your friends, for yourself, all summer long. So you have to come out to Stoller, come out to wine country, and just enjoy all the bounty. We have almost 800 wineries now in Oregon. So go to the Stoller website, find out how to get here, and then come out and have wine with friends. There you go.
Thank you. Cheers.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Do you want to be green? Do the easy stuff first. Hi, I'm Sarah from Portland Nursery. The U.S. House Energy and Commerce Committee says for every $1 spent on a shade tree, you can save $5 on cooling, blocking the penetrating heat in the summer and allowing the warm rays through in the winter. Dollar for dollar, there's no better energy and money saver than a good, deciduous shade tree. Portland Nursery's professionals can help you make the perfect selection. Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Nothing is more inviting than a garden full of beautiful clematis, and your chance to see the Queen of Vines is at the Rogerson Clematis Garden at Lusher Farms.
Bring your garden indoors and learn basic floral design principles at our floral design class. Learn about when and how to cut and condition your flowers. Each participant will take home an arrangement of their own creation.
To learn more about the garden, get directions, or learn about garden events, go to rogersonclematiscollection.org.
I'm at Little Baja in Burnside with Jared, and Jared, you know, it is summertime, but it's cool in our evenings, and you have these great chimineas to take out that chill.
Yeah, these are a great excuse to stay out in the evenings when it starts cooling off, keep your friends and family together a little longer.
And there are some tips to really make it work efficient for us.
Sure, I think the most important is to let it start up nice and slow. Start with just kindling a newspaper till you take the chill out of the clay, and once you've done that, it's not cold to the touch anymore, you can add your bigger pieces of wood.
And what I like about this is that the smoke goes up. It's not like a fire pit where the smoke goes everywhere.
Exactly. You get that draw. We have a wide opening and a wide stack, so it takes everything up and out of the picture.
And you know, you have this kind of raised up, so that's a really great idea too. You don't have to have it flush on the patio.
Yeah, sure. A lot of folks do like to raise it up off the floor, bring it up to seating level. I used a wood pedestal I built at home. You could use cinder blocks, anything just kind of elevate it up a little.
And you know, I noticed that it's not a huge fire, but it's really giving off a lot of heat here.
Yeah, it really projects a lot of that heat right out the front. We use these caps on here. Once it gets going, this slows down that draw. So it'll plume some more of that heat right out the front instead of going all up and out.
And do we have to clean it out very often, or does the ash need to get cleaned?
You know, we burn in ours every day here, so we clean ours every couple weeks, but you'll kind of figure out your own schedule. It's real easy. You just get in there with a piece of cardboard, scoop the ashes right into your compost.
And you know, I noticed that you don't just have the clay chimeneas, you have some metal ones too that are very unique.
Yeah, we do.
And so are there any benefits between the metal or the clay?
Well, there's pros and cons to both. The clay, you need to let it warm up gradually. You don't have that with the metal chimneas. However, the metal can get really hot. So if you have children or grandchildren around, you wouldn't want them to bump into it. They could get scolded.
And Jared, I saw another unique fire pit here. What is it made out of?
Well, it's made out of metal. It's a recycled washing machine.
It is really cool. So with all the different styles that you have here, what kind of wood do we need?
Well, with the clay chimneas, it's a little more important to use harder woods. Something that's not going to pop and burst and have a good coal base. And with the metal chimneas, you don't really need to worry about that. You can just stock them up and they're good to go.
Well, for all of your summer entertaining, you have to come down to Little Baja, talk to Jared and the other staff here, and really have a fire pit or a chimney on your patio for you and your friends all summertime. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Garden Time today, and stop out at Blooming Junction. They have beautiful produce and lots of beautiful plants.
So if you have any other questions about today's show or past shows, we always invite you to go to gardentime.tv.
William and I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week here on Garden Time.
The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.